Hello and welcome to History News Tonight. It's Sunday, April 14th. I'm Taylor Fleming.
And I'm Joel Empey. For those of you following at home, the RMS Titanic is now on the 12th day of its maiden voyage.
Which means only a few days until it arrives in New York City, and I, for one, could not be more excited.
Can you believe it only takes 15 days to cross the Atlantic Ocean?
I know, technology. Here are tonight's top stories. President Howard Taft found himself stuck in a White House bathtub and had to be removed with the help of 6 aides. A new tub, one large enough to fit 4 people, was installed to accommodate President Taft, pictured here giving a local man a ride to town. The largest province in British India, the Bengal province, was broken up today. The province conceded to create the new province of Bihar and Orissa. When approached for comment, Governor General Lord Charles Hartage had this to say: "I see many worried faces as I look around today, but I assure you this colony has never been stronger. 100 years from now, the proud people of British India will look back on this day and laugh."
There was a minor car accident today in Pawnee, Indiana, when 2 vehicles collided at speeds of up to 12 miles per hour. Both drivers were pretty shook up after the crash, prompting paramedics to administer 12 ounces of whiskey to each man before letting him drive home. The hottest invention of the year, the electric blanket, literally is the hottest invention of the year. The blanket has been known to reach excessive temperatures and cause fires. Just got a great idea for a Christmas gift for the mother-in-law.
Earlier this week, the first ever blues song, The Memphis Blues by W.C. Handy, was published. And in all honesty, I don't really see what the big deal is. The song just kind of bummed me out. A local doctor has come under fire recently for asking the question, could cigarettes be harmful? Major tobacco companies continue to insist to consumers that cigarettes are definitely good for you, especially when you're sick. It exterminates all the toxins, just like smoking out a beehive.
Hi-ho, hi-ho. It's back to work they go. The British coal miners' strike ended today, with thousands of workers heading back to the job site. The 3-week-long strike ended when the National Union of Mine Workers agreed to give workers a guaranteed minimum wage. Seriously, Num? You gave them minimum wage? What's next, recess? New Jersey resident Jacqueline Bouvier was arrested today for indecent exposure. Bouvier, pictured here, was arrested by police after complaints about her revealing swim attire.
Stories like these are starting to spark controversy. So, exactly how much ankle is too much ankle?
Well, it's really a personal thing. Personally, I prefer a nice milky white ankle as opposed to a tan one. If you see a woman with a tanned ankle, you know she's a floozy. She's just going all over town, showing her ankles off to all the guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, at approximately 11:40 this evening, 400 miles off the coast of Newfoundland, the RMS Titanic struck an iceberg and is believed to be sinking. We are currently unsure as to why the Titanic was unable to avoid colliding with the iceberg. The company responsible for the construction of the ship, White Star Line, has assured our station that the Titanic has suffered minimal damage to its body.
The vessel struck the iceberg on the starboard side, causing a breach to occur to 5 of the 16 watertight compartments. Now, remarkably, none of the 2,300 plus passengers aboard the ship were injured from the initial impact. We are only speculating right now, but it is possible that the ship's size played a factor in the collision, as any ship captain would not be used to maneuvering such a large vessel.
The ship departed from Southampton, England, for her maiden voyage to New York City on the 10th of April. Thought of as being a first-class hotel on the water, the Titanic has a vast and diverse crowd aboard. There are many first-class amenities on board for wealthy passengers, and there's a lot of space below deck for working-class passengers and immigrants.
Advertised as the world's safest ship, the Titanic had thousands of people clamoring to be a part of the maiden voyage, which was thought to be a truly historic event. Now, unfortunately for the passengers that did make it on board, they truly had no idea how right they were. The boat was expected to arrive in New York just 2 days from now.
I just hope all the passengers on board can make it to shore safely.
You and me both, Taylor. You and me both.
We are now going live to our reporter on board, Brett Bonesteel. What's going on there, Brett?
Well, Taylor, as you're well aware, the mighty Titanic herself has struck a large iceberg, but the engineers have been unable to determine the full extent of the damage.
And how is the crew reacting to the crash?
The vessel does not appear to be taking on water, but the crew has been able to contain the breach. I have been told that all the lower level watertight compartments have been sealed to prevent flooding. So as long as they built those walls all the way to the ceiling, I don't think they're going to have a problem there.
And how are the passengers reacting above deck?
Passengers actually don't seem to be too concerned with the fact that they almost had their vacation cut short. As a matter of fact, many children have been seen playing with the debris or snow that fell off the berg.
So let me get this straight. They aren't worried.
It doesn't appear that way, no. The crew has started to usher families towards the lifeboats, so as long as the crew and passengers can remain calm and collected, everything should be A-okay.
All right, Brett. Keep us posted on any updates on board.
Will do, Taylor. Although, I don't think we'll see much action here tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Brett. That was field reporter Brett Bonesteel aboard the RMS Titanic.
History News Tonight has an exclusive interview via telephone with one of those passengers, Mrs. Margaret Brown. Tell us how the events unfolded.
Call me Molly. Well, the evening started off normal enough. I ate dinner in the dining saloon and visited the first-class lounge and cafe before I eventually retired to my cabin. I was reading my stories when suddenly there was a horrible loud noise and I was thrown from my bed to the floor.
Were you injured?
From falling off my bed? Heavens no. But my concern is what to do now. Surely the ship is sinking.
Actually, no. We have it on good authority to believe the crew has the breach under control. So there's no need to worry.
Unfortunately, with all due respect, sir, you have no idea what you are talking about. You weren't here to feel the impact. I'll say it again. I was thrown from my bed to the floor. And I even lost my place in my book. What I'm trying to say is, if we hit an object with that much force, something bad is bound to happen.
So what's the plan now, Mrs. Brown?
I'm just about to head off to the lifeboats. I don't care what the officials say. I'm getting off this death trap. I have a seat on a lifeboat reserved for such an occasion as this. Something about this whole situation just doesn't feel right to me. I think it's best to play it safe and jump ship.
Okay, hold on a second. You don't honestly think there is even a chance the Titanic could actually sink, do you?
Did I stutter? That is exactly what I think. But what I do know is that I will not. Heck, I will even grab an oar and paddle myself if I have to.
With all due respect, Mrs. Brown, wouldn't that be a job better suited for a man?
I'm sorry. I seem to have misheard you. I have something ignorant stuck in my ear. I didn't get to where I am today from being weak. I have earned every penny I have through hard work and integrity, and I will be on one of those lifeboats, and if I need to row, then I will. And if I need to go back and help others, then so be it. I'm sorry, there they are now. My lifeboat 6 is ready, and I must go. I'm afraid that by the end of this night, you'll see that this ship isn't unsinkable, but Molly Brown is.
That was Missouri socialite Margaret Brown aboard the RMS Titanic. What an imagination. We have to go to a commercial break, but stay tuned to History News Tonight for updates on the developing story. Welcome back to History News Tonight. Contrary to earlier reports, the RMS Titanic is in fact sinking.
That's right, Taylor. While initial reports claimed the damage was minimal, they were anything but. The vessel has started to take on water, flooding 5 of the lower level compartments, causing the bow of the massive ship to sink below sea level.
The ship would remain afloat with the first 4 compartments flooded, but not 5. As fate would have it, the first 5 compartments were breached, and slowly but surely, the ship began to sink.
The huge weight of water in those 5 flooded compartments is pulling the head of the vessel down fast. With each new compartment filling up, more water is flooding into the next compartment, and so on and so on. We're getting word now there have been more significant updates with the situation. We're taking you now live to field reporter Brett Bonesteel.
It's utter pandemonium here, folks. Everything was going fine. The lifeboats were filling up, women and children first, but that's when they realized there weren't enough lifeboats for everyone. Things really got out of hand at that point. What started out as some simple pushing and shoveling quickly devolved into all-out chaos. I've seen several rounds of fisticuffs, some even resulting in death. Passengers are jumping overboard in a vain attempt to swim to shore. I'm being told I'm being joined live now by Captain of the Titanic, Edward John Smith. So, we're in the middle of an ocean. How did you manage to hit the only other object in visible distance?
Well, that's a really unfair question.
How so?
Touche.
Captain, you seem a little off. Are you intoxicated?
Me? No. I'm just drinking this tonic here for my sore throat.
Let me see that. Swamp root. Herbs. Opium. Everything seems to check out here. So, tell me, how are you planning on escaping the ship?
Well, I'm not actually. I'm the captain, you see.
I don't follow.
So being a captain basically means 2 things. 1, you have to wear this cool hat. And C, if your ship goes down, you go down with it.
Very interesting. So, why didn't you put enough lifeboats on board?
You see, I thought the passengers would like to dance, so we cleared off the deck for them.
Very interesting. I don't think we're going to see much dancing here tonight now, Ed. So, what else do you think is going to happen here tonight?
Well, I don't think there's going to be much action. We'll just cram as many people into the lifeboats as possible and see where we go from there.
I'd say one of those lifeboats has my name on it. Brett Bonesteel, History News Tonight, Atlantic Ocean.
In an odd twist, a book that mirrors the events of today's tragedy has already been written 14 years ago.
That's right. The novel, Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan, predicts this wreckage to a nearly supernatural degree.
With us in studio, we have author of the novel, Morgan Robertson. Thank you for being here today, Morgan.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's kind of morbid given the situation, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Now, your book, Futility, shares more than a couple similarities to the Titanic in its current situation. My question is, how are you able to predict it with such accuracy?
Honestly, it's just a book. I think people are reading a bit too much into this.
Well, then what do you do with a book?
You know what I mean. I wrote this novel in 1898, and even though there are a lot of similarities going on, it's just a novel, and everything's just one big coincidence.
Well, then, if it's okay with you, I'd like to point out some of the similarities between your novel and the real-life Titanic.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, first off, let's get the major one out of the way. Your book, the ship is called the Titan. In real life, it's called the Titanic.
Yes.
I mean, it's only a 2-letter difference.
That may be true, but that doesn't mean anything.
Maybe not on its own, no. But you did go on to describe the ship as, and I quote, the largest craft afloat in the greatest of works of men, and of course, unsinkable.
All right, still not good enough for you? No. How about this? Both the Titanic and the Titan are British in nationality. They both are primarily made of steel for their metal. Same number of propellers at 3, same number of masts at 2. Passenger capacity is literally identical. Point of impact is on the starboard side.
Yes. Yes.
Both crashes occurred in the month of April at the speed of impact for both ships was 22 point.
Aha. Right there is a big difference. The Titanic was traveling at 22.5 knots when it crashed, when it hit the iceberg.
And?
The Titan was going at 25 knots.
Serious.
Okay, that might be there might be something going on here.
So, could you tell us about any of your upcoming novels?
Yeah, sure, guys. I have one that's going to be about a war going on in the entire world. That's going to be a two-parter. There's going to be one, a science fiction novel that's humans finally landing on the moon. That's going to be called Creed 13. And there's going to be one also that I've penned about an organization trying to clone dinosaurs and open up a theme park on an island.
Well, that sounds delightful, Morgan, but unfortunately that's all the time we have for today.
Well, thank you for your time, though.
Nice being here with you guys.
Thanks for coming. All right, now we're going to oceanographer Dr. Monroe, who's prepared a scale demonstration of the horrific accident.
Now, a lot of factors played key roles in the crashing of the ship. For starters, the moon and the sun are currently positioned unusually close to the Earth, which causes massive rises and falls in the tide level. In simple terms, that means that the rapid change in tide could have forced icebergs south, away from Greenland, and directly in the path of the Titanic. So basically, this little thing here will represent the Titanic, and this ice cube will represent the iceberg the Titanic hit. The Titanic was traveling at 22.5 knots, heading southwest when it collided with the iceberg. It struck on the starboard side of the ship. The time of day likely played a factor in the crash. Had it been daylight, the icebergs would have been perfectly visible and the skipper could have easily avoided the collision. It had been reported that the hole in the ship is approximately 12 to 13 square feet. So I predict the boat will be entirely submerged very shortly.
It is a good thing that the ship is equipped with lifeboats so the patrons can escape the ship safely. As a man of science, I pray that everyone on board will return home safely.
You can't be serious. We're supposed to believe that guy's an oceanographer? How do you even get on the show?
This show really needs to reconsider what qualifies as an expert guest. I mean, the guy wasn't even wearing the customary doctor's bathing suit, and that mustache.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. That certainly was something. Yeah. Coming up after the break, we'll keeping you posted on Titanic developments minute by minute, so stay tuned. 400 miles from the coast, the RMS Titanic has sunk at 2:20 a.m. Atlantic time. Rescue ships have been dispatched to the scene, although the number of casualties is yet unknown.
The intense weight of the water flooding the ship's bow proved to be too much strain for the vessel. The front of the ship was completely submerged, causing the stern to rise out of the water, where it nearly reached a 90-degree angle before breaking into two. We are going to attempt to check back. All right, thank you, Brett. What's the matter?
Let him borrow one of my best sweaters.
This truly is a dark day. Well, now we're going to turn things over to the social media portion, where we take a look at what the celebrities are saying about the Titanic crash.
Pope Pius X tweeted, "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Hashtag preach, hashtag Titanic crash."
American President Howard Taft said, "A terrible tragedy occurred off the coast when 1,523 pounds of food were tragically lost at sea. Hashtag Titanic crash."
British Prime Minister H.H. Asquith also took to Twitter to express his condolences, tweeting, "My heart goes out to all the women who lost husbands tonight. If you need consoling, I'll be at 10 Downing Street, hashtag Titanic crash, hashtag no fatties."
Friend of the show, author Morgan Robertson writes, "My book sales are through the roof. Hashtag travesty, hashtag Titanic crash, hashtag Coney 2012?
It's not only celebrities taking to social media. People aboard the ship have been tweeting and Facebooking since the ship hit the iceberg.
Only minutes before the ship sank, one passenger tweeted, "The band is still playing. Hashtag Titanic crash."
Over on TripAdvisor, M. Saperstein broke down her experience on the cruise by telling us what she liked and disliked. Liked. Boarding was very easy. Our cases were unloaded by porters and we were checked in fast and courteous.
Disliked. Ship crashed into an iceberg and sank in the middle of the ocean.
Liked. Food was outstanding.
Disliked. My children are sure to suffer from PTSD for the rest of their lives.
Liked. There are many washrooms easily located.
Disliked. My clothes are not supposed to soak in cold water.
Liked. The decks are very spacious, plenty of room for dancing.
Disliked. No European outlet converters anywhere on board.
Liked. The lifeboats were large enough to accommodate my children and I.
Disliked. The lifeboats were not large enough to accommodate my husband. All in all, I wouldn't recommend it. 1 star.
Also on TripAdvisor, we found a review of the cruise from a Jack D reading, "The cruise was great. Unfortunately, the ship hit an iceberg, but I made it with a rich lady, so 3 stars.
You know, all these new updates and insights about the Titanic have got skeptics talking.
That's true, Joel. Many conspiracy theories have started to crop up, citing the iceberg might not have been the only thing responsible for the Titanic's demise. For example, did you know the ship was never even christened?
It wasn't?
No, it wasn't. As a matter of fact, White Star Line refuses to christen any of their ships because they don't believe in the practice.
But traditionally, isn't it considered to be good luck to break a bottle of champagne on the bow of the ship?
It is, and White Star Line has had its fair share of near misses. Just last year, one of their ships, the Olympic, crashed while attempting to dock in New York City. And can you guess who was captain of that vessel?
Was it the tonic drinking Eddie Smith?
One and the same. We actually received a report saying that only a few days ago, as the Titanic departed from its Southampton docks, it nearly collided with its sister ship, the New York, missing it by only 2 feet. Out of these 3 ships, not one was christened by White Star Line.
Sounds to me like the captain was a very unlucky man. Either way, I bet White Star Line will be christening their next ship. You know, that theory you brought up is very interesting to me because I've actually heard something completely different.
Oh yeah, what's that?
I actually received an anonymous tip that the Titanic, at the time of the crash, was transporting a mummy.
Okay, that's all well and good, but how did a mummy manage to doom the vessel?
Well, as legend would have it, the mummy was cursed. The mummy was known to bring sickness and death to anyone who owned it. It was also known to mysteriously cause objects in its room to break or disappear.
Well, if this is all true, it seems like White Star Line was basically asking for disaster.
Ha! Funny you should say that, Taylor, because another theory surfacing is that there wasn't an accident at all, and the crash was in fact deliberate.
Why would they crash their largest, most expensive ship into an iceberg?
2 words, the Hope Diamond.
What?
Well, okay, hear me out. There was a curse on the diamond, okay?
Seriously, another curse.
Yeah, but this one's completely different, all right? The Hope Diamond is said to bring misfortune and tragedy to persons who own it or wear it.
Okay. What in God's name does the Hope Diamond have to do with the Titanic?
Well, due to the diamond's extreme notoriety, it is extremely valuable. And I've heard that the company intentionally crashed their ship so that way they could collect the ship's and diamond's insurance money.
Well, that seems pretty far-fetched. I think people should take all these conspiracy theories with a grain of salt. If we're looking to place the blame, I think we should look at White Star Line for cheaping out on materials.
Well, that's right. Research does show that the ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, searched for years to attain quality rivets and riveteurs, but he ultimately settled on faulty materials. The ship went down faster after hitting the iceberg because the ship's substandard rivets broke and let tons of icy water flood in.
Keep going. Also, the captain did crash his last 2 ships. That's a bit of a red flag. We at History News Tonight would like to take this opportunity to send our thoughts and prayers to the victims of this horrific disaster.
Anybody willing to lend a hand to the families affected by this tragedy, please call 1-800-TITANIC to donate. Once again, that's 1-800-TITANIC to donate. Every little bit helps.
Tune in tomorrow when we have Doctors Who and Brown tell us about the possibilities of time travel. For all of us at History News Tonight, I'm Taylor Fleming.
I'm Joel Empey.
Thank you, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Anyway, we should be talking. Yeah.